CPS. That took some time, right? They weren't just going to let you have
The CPS did. The parole officer didn't. He was pretty much a rookie. You know what I mean? Said that he had never had nobody on that was locked up for as long as I was at one time and shit like that. And I appeared to be straight with him, you know, and he believed me, so he really didn't mess with me.
That, by definition, is duping somebody.
Well, then I duped him.
Okay. It just took a little longer with CPS. You had to jump through.
No, not really. I think after that very first meeting, they believed me. They, you know, I cried and shit like that. They believed me.
Okay.
But for years, Angie and all of them told them what a monster, you know, I was a monster and all this shit. So they.
It was a fun challenge for you to just walk right in and calmly turn the superficial charm on, right? They liked you right away. Most people like you right away, right?
Yeah. But my life is built on passion. It's either, you know, real good, real bad, real funny, real something. But it's real short.
When you went to Liberty, you knew that, number one, you had to show your face at that school, right?
Absolutely.
Or you were going to jail, and you knew it.
Absolutely.
You knew Trey Zwicker would be standing there talking all about you, right?
Absolutely.
You saw him get in Russ's car and talk to Russ, Detective Russ, that is, correct?
Right.
You knew who he was.
I could have told you that conversation without ever hearing it.
Okay. You saw him do that right away.
Yeah.
The moment that he got in the car to talk to Detective Russ, Detective Maroney, the lady that you can't remember what she looks like, starts talking to Amanda and then to you, right?
She talked to Amanda first.
Right.
While I was outside smoking, waiting, seemed like fucking forever. And then I went in there.
And then?
I went in there, and but I told her I wanted Amanda to come with me, and she was like, that's cool, just don't talk. And she was blonde or brown.
That would totally taint the investigation if you're hearing what one another's saying.
Yeah, or it helps, depending on which angle you're coming from.
It's not proper, and she acknowledged that to you, right?
And she just said she didn't want Amanda to talk.
Okay. You knew that you had to go up there, correct?
Yeah.
We covered that.
Absolutely.
You knew that you could not be taken away in handcuffs from Liberty, right?
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have your 5 minutes to make people like you and get your way, whatever that
I knew they wanted to put a mask on this monster.
And what you did was started talking to Wood.
Right.
That seems to tickle you. That was herring number one, right?
Yeah.
You had to have a red herring.
You got to.
There's a reason you didn't talk about your record at Liberty. Am I right?
Absolutely.
You worked it into your story.
Actually,
you couldn't say, hey,
no, I didn't. Actually, he was like, where do you live? And I was at the time, you know, all my shit was at Cassie's, and you know, I just brought some back that afternoon, still on the suitcases on the bed, you know.
Sure, you added that later on.
Yeah, and then he asked me about my home placement and why I lied about that, and I thought I was probably fucked right there.
Another challenge, right?
Yeah, but it was unexpected.
Those are no fun.
At first.
Well, yeah. The two statements you gave at Liberty, you pretty much talked nothing about seeing the body and then Wood. Is that fair?
Seeing the body. I don't remember if I seen him before or after. I don't remember.
You talked about that throughout each of the interviews that you did at Liberty.
Yeah.
And who you were blaming for this.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that part. Yeah.
Okay.
He let me see from the top. That's why I asked him, let me see a picture, because I figured a picture would be up close. I knew, you know.
You didn't get to see a picture that day, right?
No.
Okay. And again, the whole point of mention for Bridgewood is to make sure you yourself would not be taken into custody. Because you can't turn on your superficial charm if you don't have the access.
Right.
Is that fair? You're not afraid to go to jail, right?
No.
I mean, you've served a lot of time, right? This wasn't about getting out of it or getting in it or anything else.
It was about buying time is what it was. You know,
okay.
Trying to let all the dust settle and shit like that. You know what I mean? See if we can get past this first thing. It was It was
You pulled
stupid.
it off. You pulled it off. You walked away from liberty, right?
Yeah.
You had the whole neighborhood about to start a race war over this.
Yeah.
Paranoia was pretty high.
Yeah.
You named
I
names.
figured there'd be other people get killed behind this problem.
Did you hear that one almost did over this?
Yeah, not for months, but yeah.
Okay. 3 days go by. You again courageously, you have a big performance to do at homicide, and you walked right in to homicide.
Yeah, well, not right in. I tried to give him an excuse. Somebody, Amanda's uncle or somebody had just died that day, so I figured that would buy me a couple more days. But then
That was the end of the interview. You mentioned it again, right?
I don't remember. But he knew about it because he was actually at Cassie's house talking to one of them.
Right. And then came down and picked you up, and you.
Yeah, it was like, come on, man, just come on down. I'm like, fuck it, man.
You didn't know if you'd walk back out then?
I didn't think I was gonna.
Okay. But you did.
Well, it was more civil than I expected because of my record and everything else. I figured they'd know right off the bat.
You did really well that day. That was a pretty decent performance by all accounts.
Thank you.
Do you remember having them laughing out loud towards the end?
Nah, I don't remember, but
Do you remember being told how well you did?
I don't remember.
Do you remember continuously throwing these kids from Bridgewood under suspicion?
Yeah.
You know now that none of those kids lived in Bridgewood, right?
Yeah. I knew it. They're from another end of town. But they come through Bridgewood, and that's how
All of
everybody
them
thought.
are from the other end of town?
There's one or two over there that wasn't no threat. There was more like a rising, a middleman.
Judge, may we approach?
Yes, ma'am. Gentlemen, let's take a restroom break, about 10 minutes. Remember your admonition. All rise for the departing jury.